Hi everyone, hello, welcome to another Reality Check Leadership podcast, another show, another week, another two amazing guests. This time we're going to talk about happiness at work and laughter, and I have two amazing guests that I'm going to bring in right away. Their names are Alexander Kjerulf and also my dear friend Pete Cann. That's how it is. How are you guys? Welcome.
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm fine. Let me tell you that. Let me tell my audience that you guys are the responsible for my incredible shirt of today.
For those who didn't catch that, Pete and I were chatting backstage before we went live, and Pete was saying, or you were saying, you missed the shirt memo, and we actually made
Exactly.
you. I think we forced you
Exactly.
to go change your shirt until you had something colorful as well. So yeah,
Which I did.
peer pressure, it works.
It
Good.
does. I think we should have a vote as well in the comments. Who's got the best shirt? Who's your favourite?
Exactly. Guys, thanks so much for jumping in into this live. So today we're gonna talk about happiness. We're gonna talk about positive vibrations. So happiness at work, laughter, and all those things that bring so much energy and positive vibes to us. But before we dive into that subject, I'm gonna challenge you for a cool startup game, which I normally do with all my guests. So the game is called More Than One Story. So I'm gonna share with you. So at the end, I'm gonna ask you to share a small story about you, but starting with something, with a word, with a sentence that I'm gonna provide you. Okay. So it's quite simple. Let me share my screen. See where this will take us today. Here we are. You can see this, More Than One Story. All right, so let's start with you, Pete, for example. Let's see what sentence. Oh, cool. Pete, this is completely random, huh? Really. Tell a story about the time when you got angry.
Got angry. Wow.
Yes,
Okay. So, how angry is angry? Like really angry, or
you got angry. Yeah, really angry. If you have one of those, I want to know.
I, road rage? That's when
Road
I
rage.
a story. Okay, so I'm driving. I'm driving down a dual carriageway, and there were some roadworks, so it was filtering into one lane, and we were all sort of moving into one lane, and this guy just didn't want to let me in. He just didn't want to let me in. He just kept nudging, and I just kept nudging, and I was seeing red. He was seeing red. I was seeing red. So much so he like slammed the top of my bonnet like out the window, and I was just like, oh, and yeah. So that was when I probably get angry. I got angry, and I think road rage is a nightmare for getting angry. It's
It
so
is.
quickly from there, not to angry, really quickly.
What do you think makes us so crazy while we are driving? It's like, what does that mean?
I think, I mean, personally, I think you're in your own little bubble. So
Right?
you're just in,
Protected?
yeah, I think, and then, you don't know what else is going on in other people's world. So you're just, maybe it's quite, can be quite stressful. It can be, well, it can be relaxing to drive, but it can also be quite stressful if you're in a hurry to get somewhere and you're running
Right.
late, or if you don't know where you're going. So I think that can quite quickly turn those emotions from sort of stress to anger. It's all that's what my thoughts are.
Yeah. Cool. Pete, thank you so much for sharing that road rage story. Alex, let's go to you. Let's go to you. Let's
Yes.
see what randomize. Let's go play. Oh, tell a story about a memory from school.
Oh man, I remember one of my favorite stories to tell about my time at university. I have a master's degree in computer science, so I studied a lot of math, physics, engineering. And one of the classes I remember best was a class in quantum physics. And I remember it because the teacher was it was a complex topic, but the teacher was so passionate about it in a really happy way. And I remember specifically one class where he had spent the previous two classes just building up to like one result, and basically deriving. I think he was deriving Schrodinger, one of the fundamental equations. I forget what
Mm-hmm.
one of the fundamental equations in quantum physics. And finally, he has the result he wants. He puts two lines under it, and then he goes, "And that's what we were looking for." And he was so excited. And I'm sure he's taught that class like a million times. He knows this result, but he was still excited for it because math is beautiful and physics is beautiful, and he got to share it with us. And that, those are the kinds of teachers that are amazing. I had a similar teacher in high school who taught us. It's a class that most Danish students have in high school, which is ancient history. So the ancient Greeks and the Romans, that kind of thing. The literature, the art, society at the time. And again, this could be really super boring, but he just managed to teach us this entire topic in a way that was engaging, exciting, and we loved it because he loved it. Those are my favorite memories from school.
That's great. And you have also the other way around, right? You have teachers where you don't even want to go inside the room. Because
they could. So... I remember a few of those as well. I did not share those stories.
Thank you guys for having shared that. Let me just say hello to all the old people that are listening. So there's here a comment in Portuguese. Luis, I'm a fan of these lives. I'm starting to become to come on a regular basis. LinkedIn user. I don't know why this is not giving the name of the person. I also have Beatriz. Hello, Beatriz. How are you? Beatriz Madureira. She also works a lot on this area of happiness at work. So I'm not quite sure, but I think she maybe have gone to one of your courses in Denmark, yes. Alex. I think I've met a lot of those people in Portugal that have spent a couple of days there.
Yeah, we had some great people from Portugal come up and do our academy. And they've been running online recently as well.
We are happy people.
Yes.
I hope.
Yes.
Pete, now taking in fact this, do you find you work mostly in with people from the UK, from Europe or North America? Do you have any specific audience, just for my understanding?
Yeah, I suppose because everything's online at the moment,
right.
it is predominantly UK led at the moment. But I have done stuff with some companies in Germany and also in North America. I've done a few jobs as well. So again, it's just running Zoom laughter sessions. So
exactly.
Obviously we can be anywhere. We're across 3 countries at the moment, aren't we? Which is amazing.
Exactly. Cool. I'm gonna get into that. I was just more I was curious to see if you also already understood differences in culture, the way people interact with those sessions, those laughter sessions. But you will tell me more about that soon. Give me a second. Let's go to the why, right? Let's go to the why. Let's go to why. Why do you do that work today? So, Pete, let's go to you. Give us, please, a short story of how did you became, Pete Cann, the laughter man, which is, I think, how you announce yourself on your laughter sessions.
Yeah, can definitely. I just say I want a job function that rhymes with my name, but nothing rhymes with Kjerulf.
It's interesting because we like reminiscing at school. I used to be Pete Cann, the dustbin man. That was my nickname. So it's just that. So when it came to sort of naming myself, it's like, well, the laughter man. It has to be. And with the surname Cann, it's like it's quite a positive surname. So so I discovered laughter yoga. So that's what I teach back in 2016. So I was at a festival in the UK, and I heard laughter in the Arboretum, and I thought to myself, there was a comedian on stage. So I walked around the corner, and as I walked around the corner, 100 people lying on the floor laughing, and I was like,
really?
I know I'm at a festival, but what is going on right now? And there was a sign that said laughter yoga daily at 11:30. So I went back and saw Chloe and my kids, and I said, look, I'm going to go and do laughter yoga tomorrow. And they were like, go on, Daddy, go and enjoy yourself. So I went and did this session, and the lying down bit's the end of the session when it comes to laughter yoga. So we did all these laughing and breathing exercises, and we then lay down at the end, and I just couldn't stop laughing, like literally was just crying, doubled over with laughter. And when I felt that I'd stopped laughing, someone just started giggling to my left and chuckled to the right, and boom, I was off again. And it was probably for about 10, maybe even 15 minutes, this laughter floating carpet was going on. And we do a meditation at the end of a laughter yoga session. So once we did the meditation, I sat up and I felt really high. I felt really wired, really just spaced out, but in a really good way. And I was just like, I can't believe that we've got this within us. And that was it. And I remember going back and seeing Chloe, my wife, and I was just like that. Wow. She's like, Pete, it's 12 o'clock.
What have
you been doing? And I'm just like, it's laughter. And so that was sort of 2016. And then I sort of used it a little bit in my other business that I have. I run a chef agency, recruitment agency in Bristol. And so I started bringing it a little bit into work for my own personal gain and some of the team meetings I was doing. And then 2019, I went, actually, I want to do more of this. And, you know, I've got my corporate background, which is fine. It pays the bills. But actually, the red hat, the fun, just being able to bring this joy to people was definitely on my agenda. So in 2019, I started doing a few corporate jobs, started going into workplaces. And then obviously, when the COVID kicked in 2020, my hospitality agency literally ground to a halt. And I started laughing on a daily basis with other people online, not again because it was funny, but because I knew how laughter had power for me. And it was probably about 2 to 3 weeks into this laughing online, I was like, wait there, this works. People are getting something from this. And then next thing, someone offered to pay me some money to do it. And I was like, whoa, there's a business model in this. So, and then the rest is history, really. So, you know, I run sort of 2 to 3 workshops a week at the moment with corporates and go into Zoom rooms and, you know, turn up. I like, they're there for their team meeting. Then this guy with his red hat just turns up and I just run my sessions and I say this because I believe it, but I found my thing. I found what really makes me happy, and I'm sure that comes across as well in my energy. So, yeah, amazing.
It does, Pete. It does, and it's a great story. It's really a cool story. I can imagine your wife just thinking, "What the hell have you smoked during that?
Exactly.
During those 10 minutes?"
I have a follow-up question though.
Go ahead.
You do these laughter sessions with British people, and it works.
It does. I know. Not always. Well, it does. I've got a proven formula, but definitely at the beginning, everyone's looking, just going, "What's this all about? This is a bit odd." But then once we sort of relax into it, and then by the end of it, it's everyone is properly involved, and don't get me wrong, it's much better and much more powerful when you're in person. Definitely. And it's so much easier because you've just got to go do this and then everyone does it and they all set everyone off. But it's but you know, the Brits, we are known to be quite reserved, and so I'm pushing as hard as I can to get through, but we'll get there.
Step by step.
Exactly.
Pete, thanks for having shared that great story. Alex, now to you. So computer science engineer, having physics classes. How did you end up, in this business of people, business of happiness?
Yeah, so I got my master's degree, and then I went to work in the tech field, and got a couple of jobs in IT as working with tech, and didn't really enjoy it. Too much work, too little fun. Wasn't very happy at work. And then I got a chance to co-found a tech company together with 2 other guys. And we actually, before we started the company, we spent 6 months talking regularly about what kind of company we wanted. And we decided that we wanted a happy workplace. So that's what we created. We ran this company in Copenhagen for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And then we sold it. And then I decided hey, I know some things about happiness at work now. I should share this with other companies. And that's when I started my company, Woohoo Inc. And I started doing speeches and workshops for clients on how to be a happy workplace. And that's been, it was really, really interesting. I did it for 17 years. I stopped last year because I wanted to do something else. But I did get to work with some really cool clients in more than 50 countries around the world. So that was pretty awesome. And now I'm involved with, I co-founded another company called HeartCount, which is the best damn tool out there for measuring how happy employees are. There are a million tools. Ours is the best. I'm kidding. Ours is really good. I don't know if it's best. I don't know all the tools, but it's really good, and you should try it if you want to know how happy your employees are. It's called it's called Heart Count, as sort of as opposed to head count. Every organization has a head count, right?
Right.
Do you know where that word originally comes from?
I have no idea.
Nope.
cattle,
Oh yeah,
cows.
I've read
If
that.
if
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
if you're a cattle rancher in the U.S., you know how many heads of cattle you have. That's your head count. We use that for people now in organizations, and we say that the head count is how many people work there, and your heart count is how many of them actually want to work there, and that's really really good to know.
Cool, Alex. Thanks for sharing. I have
Of course.
a question to you guys.
Oh, and sorry, I have there's one thing very few people know about me. I am, in fact, a certified laughter coach.
No.
Yes, I am. I've never used it. I've never used it professionally, but I actually, for whatever reason, I ended up taking the training. It's got to be 2000, 2001 or something. Dr. Madan Kataria from India, the guy who actually invented the whole thing, was in Copenhagen. He did a workshop. I attended. So I know exactly what you're talking about, Pete. I know how well this works. And that feeling of you're in a group of people and you just can't stop laughing because it's amazing.
It is a magical.
This is the magic.
It really is. It really is.
The magic of these shows. It's we always find something in common with our guests. Always. It's really cool. Let me tell you a story about laughter. In fact, I was with my wife. We were she was pregnant. It was our first child, and we went into this a course to prepare yourself for the first child, for the pregnancy, etc. So I was with my wife, and we were like 10 couples in a small room, and I immediately start laughing when I remember this. And she lowered the light, and she started talking about, grab your wife now, think about the sea now, think about the ocean waves, and the sound the ocean waves are making next to the small rocks on the beach. And the idea was that she wanted to give us the perception of how pregnancy could be, such a calm and incredible moment. And me and my wife, I was hugging her, and I started laughing. And she started laughing, and we couldn't stop. The two of us just in the middle of that room, all laughing. It was so cool. It was impossible to stop, to be quite honest.
And especially when you're in a situation where you're not supposed to laugh.
Exactly. You're not.
It makes it harder, doesn't it? And I think also with the body touch as well, because my wife, there's times where I say, look, we need to laugh because maybe she's feeling a little bit stressed or a bit anxious, and I'm like, I know something that will help that, and she's like, I'm not laughing, so I just give her give me a little hug, and I give her a hug, and then I start just jiggling a little bit, and then that's it. We're just laughing, and it just works.
It's contagious.
It is
Cool. Sergio, thank you so much. Sergio was saying that my sound is a little bit low. So Sergio, I've raised a little bit the sound. So if you can tell me that it's better, I would appreciate. And we have also Sophia here, and she's laughing with the story. So thanks, Sophia. So guys, moving on. Thanks for having shared those incredible stories of how you started, your why, and how you started your companies. I have a question about. How do you guys, you are quite positive, you're quite vibrant, good energy. How do you guys deal with a bad day, with a bad moment? Because we all have those, right? We all have those situations after a road rage, for example. We get to work and we are not feeling right. So how do you how do you transfer that positive energy? How do you use it to make that day a little bit better? If you do that, or if you just spend your day sad and grumpy.
So for me first, shall I take this one on first? Yeah. Okay. So I get funky days. I get days where I don't want to laugh for a start, but then I will laugh. So every morning I do 10 minutes on Clubhouse on the app. So I laugh, and I've got a room, and I invite people to come along. But there are days where, like the weekend, it's interesting because I don't laugh so much at the weekend, and I have a lie-in. So sometimes I feel a little bit down, and I try and move my body. That's definitely one thing that helps. Get out in the fresh air. We're quite close to the countryside, so I try and get in amongst the trees. And sometimes I might even just go and have a little lie down, have a little nap, and just literally hide myself under the covers, and just know that in 2 hours I'll wake up and start the day again, get in the shower, just get myself ready again. So those are a couple of things that I use to sort of flick
A
my
little
mood.
nap is the first for me. A little nap, it's cool. It might be.
It's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, it's okay.
I think the older we get as well, it just becomes the norm then, doesn't it?
I worked in an IT company in Brazil, in HP, and there was a guy there. I still remember him. His name was Dirceu, and every day when we arrived from work, he would be sleeping on his chair, but he was just like this. And it was his time. He said, it's a power nap of 10 minutes. I woke up in 10 minutes, and he would get like this. And in fact, I'm quite sure that definitely helped him, because that gives that extra boost of energy. How about you, Alex? How do you deal with a bad day?
First of all, I think as Pete said, bad days are natural, right? I know a lot of people think that happiness is about being perfectly happy every second of every day, and that's simply impossible. If somebody's happy all the time, there's something wrong with them. Okay.
Exactly.
So bad days are perfectly natural, and well, if it works, it works, right?
Right.
So I think the important thing is to accept it, right? I'm having a bad day, and maybe there's a reason, maybe there is no reason, right? And for me, at least, I think something that's important is that if I'm with someone, that I let them know, right? If I'm with my wife, I'll tell her, hey, I'm having a bad day. It's not your fault. Just wanting to know I'm just cranky today. Or if I'm at work, I might tell them, hey, just so you know, guys, I'm feeling pretty pissed today. Not your fault. Just so you know. I think that helps me a little. And then I think giving people space to have a bad day, I think can actually help them, so they don't have to fake being in a good mood, because that actually, in my opinion, there's some research on that, actually makes it worse. Having to pretend you don't have negative emotions makes those negative emotions stronger. So I think that's good to remember, that it's perfectly natural. Nobody's happy every single day, but you can do things that sort of make your life better, so you have more good days and fewer bad days. Mm-hmm. And those things are not rocket science, right? That's have friends, do things that you actually enjoy to do. Move your body occasionally in a way that you enjoy. That kind of. It's not rocket science. It really
Listen to good music, for example.
Good music. Go dancing if that's your thing. My wife and I just came from a dance class this evening. We took up swing dancing 4 years ago, and it's amazing. So
really?
Cool. Yeah.
Cool. And you can already do that after the pandemic that is changing.
We've been very lucky in Denmark.
Right.
Basically, Danish society is almost fully open now. Very few restrictions left. So dance classes are back. Hallelujah.
In fact, talking about COVID, did that affect it positively, your business, or not? Because in what way have you experienced more people interested in happiness at work? Because we talk a lot about now mental well-being and mental health, because that has become really relevant in this last year. How did you guys felt that?
I think personally, so when I mentioned about the chef agency, so I've personally felt a big kick there.
Right.
So then obviously, I suppose on the positive side, I've created this new business out of nothing really. But there's definitely more intrigue into what I'm doing, and I think maybe the way that I present myself online, people are like watching it and just going, okay, this he's a bit crazy, he's a bit out there, but actually it works, and they're laughing along. And so I think there's definitely a bigger market out there, and I just keep banging on the doors just to say, look, it's okay to laugh for no reason. Just come and let me do what I do and feel the benefits. So, but I think this mental health, like it's gonna be a while till we get through this. A long time, I think.
Definitely. What about you, Alex?
Well, I stopped the speaking, doing speaking and doing workshops. I stopped that on January 1st, 2020, and then 3 months later, COVID hit. So that was really good timing on my part, because I know from all my friends who are still speakers that their business took a huge hit, right?
Of course.
But but for most of them, it's back now, and they're of course doing a lot of virtual work. As for heart count, this tool for measuring happiness at work has actually been pretty good, because a lot of companies are now looking for a way to stay in touch with their employees
Right.
when they're not in the office.
Yeah.
I talked to the HR person from a company in Poland who said that, having a tool, having a way to actually stay in touch with people had been a lifesaver for her, because she used to be able to just walk around the office and look everybody in the eye and see how they're doing. And now she couldn't do that because everybody's at home. So I think that's what companies need right now, is some way of still staying in touch with people and making sure they're okay and their mental health is okay. That being said, it looks like in many countries the economy is roaring back now, and I think if this holds up, I think it won't be long before companies are desperate for tools and assistance like what you do, Pete, to keep their staff happy. Right now in Denmark, unemployment is now at the same low level as it was before COVID. And there's a guy I know who runs the biggest job search site in Denmark, and he says they have a crazy amount of new job ads being added to that site every week, because companies are looking for new employees. They're trying to find and they can't find them. I think there are good signs ahead.
Cool. I have a question. It's a bit more kind of a challenging question, but how do you deal? You live but you work in an area that has still a lot of bias and preconceptions, etc. So, how do you deal with when people don't take you seriously? For example, does that happen when you go and talk about happiness, or you go and talk about laughter? How do you deal with someone that thinks that is something? Come on, cut the crap. That's not business. That's not, I need results. I need performance.
I think it's, I mean, personally, a lot of people look at what I do and they do think it's I'm the fun or the silliness. But there's stats, statistics tell us that, this is how good laughter is for us. This is how good fun is for us. This is how good being playful, being childlike, the fact that children laugh 200 to 300 times a day. And as adults, well, I'm sure us three laugh quite a lot a day, but it's crazy. And I just think I've got this vision. It's a bit of a crazy vision, but like, take all the cars out of a car park and put a load of toys and hula hoops and footballs, and take everybody's phones at playtime. It's not playtime, it's lunchtime. Take their phones off them and just let them play, and then let's see how creative they are. And I'm sure, Alex, that's similar to the sort of stuff that you were teaching previously about the fact that fun and happiness and creativity are connected.
Yes, and actually, I think, going back to convincing the skeptics, we had two approaches. One is to, as you say, use the research, use the science, and there's a ton of science on why happy people are more productive, more creative, less sick, stay longer with a company, yada yada yada. So happy companies make more money. But I think there's a flip side to that, which is that some people don't want to be convinced. And you can give them all of the numbers, all of the figures, all of the statistics. They will never change their mind. And I made a decision very early on doing this work that I didn't want to waste any time trying to convince those people. I would much rather spend my time and energy on working with companies who actually get it, and who believe already that this is important. So I can present all of the stats, the statistics, the data, the numbers. I can definitely do that. But if people don't want to believe, that's fine. You run your business your way. I'll be over there helping your competitor, making them happier and more productive so they can run you into bankruptcy, and you will be left with nothing. Sucks to be you.
I would love to see that speech.
Well, that's there, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that I ever told them that directly. That was mostly an internal monologue.
Of course,
yeah.
of course. Thanks. So, guys, after this question about why and what you do when people don't take you seriously, which I really loved your answers, can you tell me what's the most challenging part in the work you do as of today? So, what is it most hard, most difficult thing?
I think personally the hardest thing is getting people to believe that what I do is good for them. You know,
Right.
that's again, I suppose, going to that skeptical side of things. It's just like, yeah, but once you get into the room, it's not hard at all. I love that bit, but it's, I suppose, the promoting of it and marketing. Again, I enjoy doing it, but it's getting that across to people to say, look, come on, this is just try it, just dip your toe in. Yeah, everybody should try most things at least once to just see what the difference is. So that would be the hardest thing I find about what I do.
Cool. How about you, Alex?
I think that the huge, and this goes for all kinds of consulting and facilitation work. I think that the really hard part is anchoring any change in an organization so that it stays there. All workplaces have like a very powerful immune system that will try to resist any change and kick out, any new ideas or any new behaviors. So finding ways to introduce a change to an organization so that it sticks, so that it becomes lasting, so that it doesn't, it works for 2 months or 3 months and then it just goes back to the same situation as before. That's the biggest challenge. And whoever solves that deserves a Nobel Prize or something.
I think it's mostly a challenge that will never be solved, right? It will always happen.
Yeah. I mean, there's again a ton of research on this, that our brains are sort of lazy, right? They want to go back to the patterns they know. So getting a whole group of brains, a whole organization to change their patterns, that is hard. It can absolutely be done. We have done it. Other people have done it. There are ways to do it. But it really is a challenge. That is the biggest challenge in any kind of work with any kind of workplaces.
I met a speaker, a guy called Jim Lawless. I think he's from the UK also, and he wrote a book on change. He called it Taming Tigers. So, and the idea is that any change that you are considered into, immediately you have a tiger in your head that is just roaring and saying, don't you even think about that, Don't you even think about trying to laugh. That's not for you, Get out, stay in your comfort zone, don't move. And that's interesting, I've changed my work this year, where I've moved from a technical perspective into a purely people focused, and that was completely out of my comfort zone. So I love to feel that numbness and that those tickles in your stomach, saying that means something. That means you are eventually learning something. Cool. Guys, I have a couple of questions here from the people. I have one from Sergio. Hello, Sergio. And he asks, what was the most defining example of change of mindset in a company you worked with?
I'm going to bat this one to Alex, I think, because I don't know. Sorry, Alex.
Yeah. What do you? How should I understand defying? What do you think, Luis? I'm not sure how
it's resisting. It's
yeah,
saying that I will not change because I don't believe in that. It's
oh
in
man,
line with what we were talking about.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to share a sad story now. So I got a contract.
Music.
Yes, could you put some sad music on in the background? Oh man, this was seriously a low point for me, because I got a big contract to work with a client in Denmark, the Danish division of a French company, 800 people, four locations around Denmark, and I got a big contract to work. So first do a management seminar for all the managers, then go to each location and do some workshops, then do some follow-up work with upper management, and they were like, I felt like they were on board. I felt like they got it. And so we work with them, we complete the whole project, and then they do nothing. They implement nothing, they change nothing. And I was so depressed about it. And I felt like I reached these people, and they spent a lot of time and money on our services, and they just ended up doing freaking nothing. That happens. It's rare, but it happens. And I just want to mention, to end this on a happy note, I want to mention a counterexample which is a pension company in Copenhagen that we worked with. And we did very little work for them. And I was this is a pension company, right? So they're focused on money, numbers. These are, lawyers and financial planners and economists and people in suits and ties. And we did very little work for them. We did one speech, but on the basis of those tools, they basically transformed their entire approach to their culture. I can tell you that it worked really well. The staff became a lot happier, a lot less stressed, and their CEO actually won an HR award for the way they transformed the culture and put happiness as one of the three main focuses. So those are sort of the two extremes, right? You break your heart working for this client, and it has no impact, and you give this client a little nudge, and they just take the ball and run with it, and it's amazing.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Pete, I have a question for you. Does laughter means happiness?
To me, or to just, I
would say to you first.
Yeah, I don't.
Let's see how it evolves.
Okay, so I mean, you don't need to be happy to laugh for a start. Our bodies don't know the difference between fake and real laughter, so we just go through the motions till laughter comes. So, but if I don't laugh, then I can be quite stressed and quite angry is not the right word, but quite short with, especially with my children. They're 10 and 8. I think children are just testing anyway, generally for
every single moment.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, great. I'm not the only one. Brilliant. So, so does laughter make me happy, or is laughter happiness? I think it's definitely a part of happiness for me. It's part of a whole ecosystem. There's other things that make me happy, but if I, so yes, laughter is happiness, if that's a roundabout way answer for that one.
Cool. You've said something that I've heard you saying, I think a couple of times, that laughter helps reduce stress and anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How does that happen? What does laughter bring to your body and mind that helps you reduce anxiety and stress?
Yeah, sure. So when you laugh, you take deep oxygenated breath for a start. So I mean, we've got 20% of our lungs filled with oxygen that we hardly ever breathe out. So when we're doing proper belly laughs, we're breathing that oxygen out, we're getting fresh oxygenated blood in, which then fires up the blood around the body, which fires up our endorphins, which are our happy hormones. So we get spikes of endorphins, serotonin, dopamine. So all these positive chemicals are washing our brain. And that ultimately, when you're also laughing and you're in the moment, you can't be stressed or anxious, especially when you're in that moment of uncontrollable laughter, and you can't control anything that's going on. You're just literally present, and that's the magical side of it as well, because I feel that like I say, you can't be stressed or anxious at that moment, but it also lasts for quite a long time as well. So when you do laugh and you get to that uncontrollable bit, it can last sort of 6, 8, 10, 12 hours through the day, and it does curb the anxiety and stress.
Have you ever had someone that started a session with you and then stopped because she or he said, "Pete, this is not working for me. I'm not in it."
Not to my face, definitely not. Okay.
They really do it. They really try hard, right?
Exactly. Well, there's been people that may be a bit slower from the front end, so they'll especially some Zoom, you can see them on the screen. You've got everybody there. But I don't know. It must be a natural human instinct to just focus on the people that aren't really engaged with you at the time. And so there's been times where I've done sessions, and I felt that they weren't engaged with it, but then at the end of the session they go, "That was really good. I feel really great now, and I haven't laughed like that." And I think, well, they weren't laughing, but some people laugh inwardly and they don't like to laugh outwardly, so it's still a win. And then the in-person people, when I've done in-person sessions, there's definitely people, and it sort of goes back to trying to convince, I suppose, people that are those naysayers that don't really believe. And I fell into that trap at the beginning, Alex, where I would go into a room and you focus on that person who's not laughing because, actually, now I know, focus on the people that are really laughing, because actually you get a better response and that will naturally ripple out. So, but I've never had anyone walk out that I know of. But I've been, I suppose,
Cool.
in the moment. So
Exactly. Thank you, Pete. Alex, I have here a question that maybe you could answer. It's a question from João Souza. What's the best advice you guys can give to someone that just started the path of happiness in a new company that's inside of a huge corporation? Great talk. Thank you to all. Thanks
Ooh,
for the question, João.
yeah, that's a great question. And first of all, what a great position to be in. And I would say, a couple of things. First of all, that don't be afraid to try stuff. Okay, if you have an idea and you think this might make somebody happy, try it and see what happens. But also realize that you are pushing maybe the organization, and that again, that if you try something new and 10 people love it and one person hates it, who are you going to hear from? The person who hates it. That's just how people are. So if you have a good idea, try it, and don't be discouraged if somebody hates it. Maybe a lot of other people out there love it. I would also say that one thing that's absolutely crucial is to look at the research. And again, there's a ton of great research on why happiness at work is important and what makes us happy at work. And if you don't know that research, you can end up doing a lot of stuff that just does not work. I think my one thing that really frustrates me is that a lot of companies want to be great workplaces, but they focus a lot of attention on like perks, like let's put a gym in the office, or let's have really fancy food, or let's have really expensive office furniture or whatever, right? And none of that stuff works. It really, really doesn't matter. It doesn't make anybody any happier in the workplace. So look at the research and figure out what it actually is that makes people happier at work, so you can do things that have a much better effect on people. And then I would say my final tip, I could have a million tips, but I think one that is really important is to find compatriots, find some allies inside the organization who believe the same thing that you do, that happiness at work is important. Because again, you might face a lot of skepticism, and if you have a couple of other people around you who can support you and believe as you do that this is important, that can make it a lot easier. So I think those are some things that can really help. And make no mistake about it. I mean, one person can make a huge difference. I've seen organizations where I worked with the Shell refinery in Denmark, and there was one of the electricians decided that he wanted to be the chief happiness officer, so he took on that role and started doing cool things, and he got support from management and support from the coworkers, and did a lot of great things to make the workplace a little happier. So one person can absolutely make a difference if you follow the research and do the right things. If you do the wrong things, nothing's going to happen. It's just going to be a waste of time.
So Alex, if I ask the question about you were talking about perks, which I understand, so those side things, but is in your experience salary and the compensation, right, the benefits that you get, the net salary that you get, isn't that still one of the key reasons for being happy?
Nope. No. Does that answer your question?
let me tell you that I've read the research, so this is more a rhetorical question.
Yeah, exactly. I know you know, Luis. I know you know.
Tell me why not.
The money can make you unhappy. So if your salary is unfair, if you know that this guy actually does worse work than you do, he's not as good as you are, but he's still making more money, that can make you unhappy. Or if your salary is so low that you actually can't live on it, that you have financial troubles because your salary is too low, in that case it can make you unhappy. So of course we deserve a fair salary. I mean, salary should be fair. That's right. Just obvious, right? But a high salary will not make you happy. And trust me when I say that there are plenty of people, lawyers or doctors who make a shitload of money and still hate their jobs. and you don't want to be in that situation. It would be better to make a shitload of money in a job you actually enjoy. So no, money, bonuses. In fact, I think a lot of the time they distract from the actual efforts to make people happy at work, if that's where the focus is instead. We need to make sure that we pay people fairly, and then we need to focus on the things that actually make people happy at work.
Thank you. Pete, let me dig into that other work that first work that you have, which is the chef's company for recruiting company, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that. What are what do you search, or what do other chefs search when they are trying to figure out who can be their next chef?
So, how does the concept of the job work?
Exactly.
You mean?
Because I can tell you, I'm used to IT talent, IT people, right? So I know what I should be searching on, what I should be focusing on in terms of technical and human skills. How about the chef?
Okay, so I mean, the agency we run supplies relief and temporary cover for a start. So we don't have full-time positions,
right.
But I mean, if we were looking for a chef, definitely experience is key. But we put in some values into our business probably about 6 years ago, and it was the best thing we ever did for our company was put core values, because all of a sudden we had our four corners, and it just meant that we recruited on those values. So we actually
Cool.
So, like a little story, we used to have a table. We used to have an office. We don't have an office anymore, but that's again another COVID story. But we used to have a table football table, and the first thing we used to do was when a chef walked in, we'd say red or blue to play a game with them. And just because we wanted to break down, it was a courtesy, it was first impression, two of our values. There was only a couple of chefs that refused to do it, and before they didn't even know, but they had the best skills in the world, but we just didn't recruit them because they didn't show our values. And so they can be the best, they can on paper or even on skills, and a lot of chefs, if they're really good, they've also got that arrogance about them as well. So when you're placing someone like that into a job, especially in a temporary, they want to try and maybe run and tell the management how to do things, and that's going to just rile up the customer as well. So we always look for personality is the first thing, and obviously being able to do the job is important as well, but having the skill set isn't as important as being able to sort of turn up, look good when they turn up, and just be polite and courteous. So yeah.
What are your four values that you recruit for?
So courtesy, teamwork, first impressions, and efficiency.
Nice.
So I did think, because it's been a while since I did that. So, but yeah, those are the ones. So, like I say, first impressions were as soon as the chef walked in. We had chefs that they'd come to the office, flick the cigarette, walk into the office, and we're just like, what are you doing?
I'm in. This is me.
What are you doing? But then they'd come in and they're just like, yeah. So and full well they're going to do exactly the same thing when they go to the jobs as well. So it's but we also recruited within the office as well. So our teams it was all very much. Our culture was really strong, actually. So we had, and again, like the perks, we had the little perks. We had the table tennis table, which was great, because actually, when things got quite stressful, because especially when chefs are letting you down and you've got customers going, "Where's my chef?" You just put the phone down. I used to look, and it goes back to Alex being able to see the people in their eye and understand. I'd look at my team and I'd go, "Right, do you want a quick knock? Should we just go knock it out for 5 minutes and then back on?" So it's I'm a firm believer of culture. Definitely, it's got to be right, and I love that, Alex, what you've been saying about the injecting that fun into the workplace and stuff.
Great story, Pete. I can imagine that chef walking in. I think I have his face already in my
and kudos to you for having this focus in that industry, because kitchens and restaurants are not known for having a good culture at all.
True.
I just got to watch. Anybody who's interested should look up what's the documentary about Gordon Ramsay called?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, I forget. You can find it
I've
if you
seen his
Google it. You can
programs.
find it. And this is from about, I think, about 15, 20 years ago. He's opening a new restaurant, and he is being a complete jerk to
Mm.
everyone around him. He's treating people so badly. Yeah, and this is rampant. Pete, I don't have to tell you, this is rampant in that industry. So
Yeah.
kudos for doing something about it and trying to create something better.
And I think even now, sort of, there's the, I don't know what it's like in Portugal and Denmark, but there's a massive shortage of chefs now because the industry, they work in weekend. Chefs work when everyone else wants to go out and have a good time.
Right.
So it's and so I think now the people that are going to actually get the best out of get the best chefs to work for them are the ones that are going to look after them. And it's not just about the money. It's not just about the money. It's about being able to let them have the time off when they want time off, being able to, sort of, just care about them and make them feel like a real person rather than just a number like Gordon Ramsay. He's obviously he's gone to a different place now. He's obviously a television superstar now.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Guys, I have that remind me a story that happened to me today, because we were talking about these companies that start to create their values, to put their focus on those key aspects, but there are hundreds, thousands of companies that have not a single idea what we're talking about. They still live like they were living 50 years ago. And I live in a small neighborhood in the outskirts of Lisbon, and there is a couple of guys are working on construction on the house next to mine. And this has been like this for the last 2 weeks. And every day they are just shouting with each other, screaming, calling names to each other. You stupid guy, you shouldn't do that. And the other, and I was just, come on, how can these guys work? Every single day for 15 days, they are coming to work, shouting with each other, calling names. Today I called I've texted my neighbor here. I said, Miguel, do you really, are you at home? Because if you are at home, I would give you an Oscar, because it would be impossible to be at the same home where these guys are. And then he replied me, I think they are a family, and this is his brother-in-law, and they have a really shitty relationship. This is really...
Oh man,
That's the thing with family businesses. You hear so many
Exactly.
horror stories with family businesses. It's yeah.
Guys, it's been 53 minutes already, but time has flew. But I have this last section of this show. I would like to ask you for a reference for something that has somehow inspired you in the past, or it still inspires you today. A talk, a scene, a film, I don't know, a person, a book, anything that you would like to share in terms of that has been inspirational somehow to you guys. Alex
Okay,
is still
so
thinking because he's looking up, so he's still
yeah.
thinking. Let's go to you, Pete. Maybe.
Oh, I always get the name of the actual episode. It's Ernst Nightingale. Ernst Nightingale, and it's The Secret. I will Google it in a second whilst Alex is going. I'll let you know what it is. But it's all about the power of the mind, and it dropped into my focus probably about 8 years ago, and it just changed the way that I am basically now, because it's all about how you whatever you put into your mind, it's what you can conceive. It's manifestation, and just that visualization, and I need to get the name of it, and I will find the name of it.
Find the name, and then we
Right,
can put it.
I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now.
Thanks. How about you, Alex? What has inspired you? Or what
there are a million things that can inspire me, but there's one thing I really want to mention. There's a TV show called The Good Place. Okay. Have any of you guys seen it?
No.
With Kristen Bell, Ted Danson? No. It's amazing. It's on Netflix in Denmark. I don't know where you can find it otherwise. The Good Place, and the premise is that Kristen Bell plays this woman called Eleanor Shellstrop. She's died, and she's gone to the good place. She wakes up there. She's told there's a good place and a bad place, and you're in the good place because of the amazing things you did. You were such a good person on Earth. And then already in the first episode, it turns out that she's not supposed to be there. She's the wrong Eleanor Shellstrop. She was actually a terrible person on Earth, and she was supposed to go to the bad place. And now she has to make sure that nobody discovers the mistake. So she now has to learn how to be a good person. The show is fairly short. It's only 4 seasons, I think, of 12 episodes each. So fairly short. It's hilarious. It's a comedy. It is hilarious. But you will also, if you watch it, you will learn a lot about what it means to be a good person. And this is the only comedy show that regularly references Immanuel Kant, Søren Kierkegaard, Plato, Aristotle, all of the great philosophers, and will actually give you a really good introduction to Kantian philosophy, to virtue ethics, to things like altruism, to things like it's hilarious. It's actually very educational. It's and it has the most beautiful ending of any TV show I've ever seen. The last 2 episodes are a masterpiece, and every time, I think I've watched them 3 or 4 times, I cry every time because it's so beautiful. So The Good Place, go watch it. That show is so amazing. Cool. And by the way, if you do, something else that's inspiring is there is a podcast for The Good Place. One of the actors from the series actually does an episode of the podcast for every episode of the show, where he will interview some of the writers or the cast or the costume designers or whatever. And you get a real sense that the people who worked on this show had such a great time doing it. They all loved each other. They worked well together. They all supported each other, and they all had such a great time on this project. And I think that's just, the show is beautiful in itself, and everybody working on it called it The Good Place because they just loved working there. So beautiful, beautiful show. Watch it, listen to the podcast. It's amazing.
Thank you very much.
The strangest secret, Earl Nightingale.
Okay,
that's
cool. I'll then write it down on the comment section, and I'll share it with everyone. All right.
And I'm going to watch The Good Place. That's what I'm going to do when I finish.
Me too.
Let me know what you think. Let me know, seriously. Let me know what you think.
Guys, we have 2 minutes. I just have one last question to you. Was this a cool place to be during 1 hour? Was it good for you? Did you enjoy meeting your new online friend?
Definitely,
yes.
Definitely.
Cool.
And the shirt buddies, yeah?
Yeah.
I will never forget it. Let me confess, it's the first time I've used this.
Oh, there you go.
By my sister, and it's the first time now I'm going to send her a picture and tell her I finally used it.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for everyone that is online. Also, thank you. Great show, Eloy says. Thank you, Eloy, for being there. Thank you so much for this time and for having had the generosity of spending 1 hour with me. I wish you all the best and success. It happened. Alex, Pete, stay strong, stay safe, and stay well. Stay happy. See you guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
We end up with a laugh. See?